In this session, you'll learn how to craft a compelling story for your customers to buy, how to have confidence selling and the right selling mindset, and how to build a launch strategy from start to finish. This was a pre-recorded coaching session just for our Wandering Aimfully members, but you're getting it for free here on YouTube. If you want to learn more, go to wanderingaimfully.com/join if you want to get more coaching from us. But for now, just enjoy the free session. Hi there, and welcome to our sales and launching spotlight session.
Cool.
All right, let's get into part one, the explainer. Let's talk about the most crucial tips for feeling more confident as you launch and sell your offer. So in the session, we have three main things we want to cover: launch basics review, biggest launching pitfalls, and best launch lessons. Just, for those of you who don't know, the selling and launching is our jam. We've created several in-depth resources for you related to selling and launching offers. Some of those are selling mindset things. So we have selling without feeling sleazy, a workshop, and then we have another coaching session, how to embrace selling and money mindsets. We have creating an irresistible offer. So we have identifying your offer coaching session, and then an offers that sell spotlight session, which was the first spotlight session at the beginning of the year. Then we have the launch process, our sales launch start to finish, which is another coaching session. We even have more. There's sales page design help in our page layout library. And then we have our sales launch emails that you can get all of in that coaching session, sales launch start to finish. And we also have your first launch on a week-by-week program, so you can go through Build Without Burnout. This is especially for you client-based business owners who want to transition to building a digital product or an online course. You can find all of these, because we just listed a ton of them, very easily in the new WAIM dashboard in the library page. In the mega menu at the top, click the down arrow, and in the offers and selling category, click improve launches. Boom, everything we just said is right there.
Yeah, and so the reason I told you there was lots of scuba-ing in this session was, I think launching and selling in general might be the thing we've talked about the most. Maybe marketing and like email is another close second. But when I was putting together the curriculum for this, I didn't just want to rehash everything we've said in the past, because again, those resources already exist. They are much more in-depth. So I mean, like everything down to like, how are you designing your sales page? Like all of these things as we just listed out. But I did want to make sure that because there's so much inside of the vault now, you know exactly where to go. So if you're someone who's like, you know what, I really just need to start with my mindset, start with the two that we mentioned about mindset. If you're like, I'm good on mindset, but I do feel like I could refresh my sales page, go to the sales launch start to finish and use the page layout library. Like that's why we really separated them that way for you all. But in this session, as we mentioned, we're gonna kind of get the top level so you know which part of the launch process you could use improvement in. So now it is review time. So let's start by recapping the basics of launching an offer, okay? So when it comes to selling and launching your offer, here are the 6 basic things that you need to figure out if we had to boil it down. Number 1, what is the offer, okay? Number 2, what's the value of the offer? Number 3, what are you gonna charge for the offer? Number 4, how will people know that you're selling it? Number 5, how and when will someone actually be able to buy it? And number 6, what happens after they buy? So if you're someone who gets really overwhelmed by launching and just having an open and close launch and everything, go back to these nice 6 little things and just go, I just gotta figure out these 6 things, okay? And somehow that will make it, I think, less overwhelming. But we're gonna dig into each one. So first off, what is the offer? So yes, you're going to package your skills or your expertise into a digital format that provides value to your customer, right? So it's gonna be a course, an ebook, a live training, a membership, a software. Of course, there are other things you can sell. Most of you inside of WAIM are running online businesses, so you're gonna have some type of digital product business. And so for each one of these, again, I'm gonna not only mention the resources to go to, but if you know one of these is really where you wanna start, I'm gonna even mention exact sections of each session for you to check out, so you don't have to spend your time going through the chapters, and this is just to save you time. So for this, if you're someone who's like, I don't even know what I wanna launch, I really need to figure out what my offer is, definitely go to the offers that sell spotlight session, check out the Chef's Kiss offer, which I'll review in a second, and the solution slot machine is also a great one for like, we go over ways that you can like basically come up with endless offer ideas if you just really need to brainstorm. Then you're gonna wanna go to identifying your offer, the coaching session, because we have sections there on validating your idea and your offer scorecard, which will help you choose your offer that's best. So those are kind of all the resources related to that. But just to remind those of you who may not have joined us live for the offer spotlight session or haven't been able to go through it, I've been going through this myself lately. For some reason, Jason and I have had a bunch of like business ideas lately. We're not ready to share any of them with you, but
I'll share all of them.
No.
Can I share them all right
nope,
now?
Nope. We're in a season of lots of ideas, as if we don't have enough on our plates. But I keep going back to this acronym to be like, is this a good offer? Is this something that has the opportunity to sell? So if you didn't know, our acronym is KISSES for basically coming up with an offer that is very well poised to sell to your audience. So the K stands for it's a known problem for your target audience. The I stands for it's interesting to you because enjoyment matters and that will make it sustainable. Scalable for your energy input and profit output. You want to judge, like, is it going to be basically low effort for high output? Of course, it doesn't have to be, but if you're looking for something that's sustainable, that's helpful. The next S is for social proof that your solution works. Do you have some type of indication that this is a result that it actually you can get for people? Is it economical, meaning to your customer for the ROI? So is the price in the general vicinity of what you could charge for this, is that probably going to be worth it to the ultimate customer that you plan to sell this to in terms of value, which we'll go over in the second section. And then lastly, is it singular? Is it set apart from what else is out there? So we're just reviewing. These are kind of your checklist when it comes time to being like, okay, for my next launch, does my offer hit all of these things, or are there places where I could really punch up each one of these items?
And if it does?
Kisses for everyone.
Kisses for everybody.
Yay! So now, step 2 of kind of the pieces of your launch. What's the value? So you're going to clearly define what the value of this offer is to your customer. What outcome does it get them? How does it improve their life? What do they gain? We probably sound like a broken record by now, but it's very hard when you're inside of your business to remember to package your offer in terms of the value that it is for your customer, right? So resources that go over this are the Offers That Sell Spotlight session, specifically chapter 9. I have the time step here if you want a screenshot. And that's where we talk about the transformation and the pain points for you to kind of brainstorm what is the value. And then this is kind of a new exercise, but I'm sure you've heard of this idea of a value proposition. I think this is really valuable. So it's just kind of a paragraph statement where you're going to fill in the blanks. So for target audience, our digital product offers key benefit, helping you solve specific problem in a unique way. Unlike other solutions, our product, unique selling points, experience benefits and outcomes with digital product, your ultimate solution for problem. Now, I want to be really clear. I say this in the next slide, but like, this is not for you to like put on your website, okay? Yeah. It's very convoluted. It's not to the point. It's not concise in any way. However, just doing the exercise is going to help you frame your offer in terms of the value that it provides your customer, so it's extremely helpful. Yeah, ours that we wrote was, for intentional business owners, our Wayman Limited Unboring Coaching Program offers clarity and focus, helping them build a thriving digital products business without sacrificing a calm life in the process. Unlike other options, our program prioritizes fun and is designed to help you avoid burnout while still motivating you to reach your business goals. Experience the clarity, community, and calm of Wayman Limited, your ultimate solution for beating business burnout and overwhelm.
Nice.
Right?
Very fun.
Great. No, don't talk to your customer like a corporate synergy robot.
Yeah.
This is just so you can clarify for yourself and clarify the value proposition.
And again, like I said, I noticed this multiple times, but if you get stuck in one of these sections, to me, that's a clear thing where you're like, okay, I need to figure out, like, I'm not saying the benefit enough, or I'm not focusing on the outcomes enough, or even the audience. Like, I might not be specific enough in who the audience is. I need to get better at that.
Totally. Now, you might be wondering, what's the impact of clarifying your value proposition? How does your value proposition actually relate to your launch? And I wanted to share this. So this was our revenue graph in 2019.
Yeah.
And so you can see from May to October, a little bit of a dip.
It's going the wrong way.
It's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a dip there.
You know how everyone says in business, like, up and to the right, up and to the right. We were going down and to the right.
Down and to the right.
We were doing the opposite approach,
right.
which you shouldn't always do the opposite approach.
Right. But then something happened, and in October of 2019, that happened.
That's nice.
And so you go, what happened here? What was going on here? And the answer is October 2019 is when we added monthly coaching, okay? And so we repositioned our offer value to be about clarity and focus every month. And this is when you started seeing, I mean, I don't know how many of you were around before that and then after, but you started seeing on our homepage and in our language and in our brand messaging, this kind of like 3-line thing, which was grow your revenue, gain more free time, have more fun. And this was kind of our succinct way of kind of defining our benefits and our outcomes. And this was all about the value proposition to joining WAIM. And this is when things really changed. So yes, it was a little bit of a repackaging of what our offer was. So it was kind of a combination of 1 and 2, but also about being clearer about what our value proposition was and really centering our entire program around coaching. Okay? So that is the impact that it can have on your business, and that's when everything changed for us.
Nice.
So step 3, what are you going to charge? So how much is the benefit of your offer worth to your audience? Does your customer perceive that the value of your solution is worth more than the price they're paying? And we go into this more in depth inside Offers That Sell. So in chapter 14, we talk about that's the economical, the E of the Kisses Chef's Kiss formula. And we also go into the 4 different P pricing strategies. So if you're like, I don't know how to price my product, head right to chapter 14 in Offers That Sell. And we also talk about ways to increase the perceived value of your offer. So just as a reminder, I pulled this out of that offer session. The whole thing is about, does your customer believe that the value of your solution is worth more than the price they're paying for it? Because we all make decisions based on money, right? It's like money is our hard-earned thing, and we feel like if we're going to give it over, we need to believe that the value that we're getting in return is worth it. And so just to show this in a visual way, if this is your price and this is the value of your solution, you could lower your price to make it seem like the value of your solution is more, or you could raise your price and you could make sure that the value of your solution is perceived by your customer as higher. And so there are different ways that you can do that, and we go into that in the Offers That Sell session. But that is how you should be thinking about pricing and pricing your offer to sell during your launch, because I know that's a big part that a lot of you think about when it comes to doing a launch, like how do I price my offer? Those of you, another thing I wanted to point out about price is, I will say, I don't know how many of you were around when we launched coaching back in 2019, but we did actually do it with a different pricing tier. So Wayman Limited, which is where you would get all the vault and all the courses and everything, that was $2,000. And then we had the 6-month coaching package, which was $600. And so they're the same kind of price, which was $100 a month basically, but you got a lot more and you were on for a lot longer with Wayman Limited. And so the thing I want to point out here is a couple of things. Only add complexity to your packages when you're trying to either appeal to different segments of your audience or you're trying to test the perceived value of a feature or benefit. So we actually had no idea how coaching would come across or if that value proposition hypothesis would work during our launch. But we thought to ourselves, well, we see at the time we were launching every month for Wayman Limited, and so people were paying ongoing $100 a month. And we were noticing that people were kind of joining and then they were leaving because there was nothing, that value proposition was not a good exchange for them. The price was too high for what the value is that they were getting. And so with coaching, not only did it change our value proposition, but we wanted to test, okay, would people stick around? And so if people were quitting before 6 months, we thought, let's actually give them a lower price point. Let's give them 6 months. And ultimately that's going to service a segment of our audience who may not be ready to make the $2,000 commitment, but they really want to see, and we really want to see if coaching is going to be enough of a fit for them. And it turns out it was.
Yeah.
And so people really wanted to buy 6-month coaching, and then what happened was people then would re-up. So we would offer them, do you want to stay on for another 6 months? And once we saw that quite a few people, the majority of people were staying on for another 6 months, that's when we said, okay, we have something here. Let's bake coaching into Wayman Limited. Let's simplify again. So I just point that out because I know sometimes you see other people offering multiple packages and you go, in order to do a launch, I have to have multiple packages. You absolutely do not. I think these are 2 really valid reasons to go the multiple package route if you really want to hit kind of 2 different spots of your audience, or maybe they're on 2 different parts of the journey and one of your tiers has like a higher touch option. Or you want to test, okay, I'm shifting things, let me do like a little test balloon kind of option. And that's how we did it. And that's honestly, it changed our entire business.
Yeah.
Number 4, how will people know you're selling it? Okay, now we're getting into like the real launch stuff here. That was kind of the setup. So you're gonna plan a pre-launch campaign to get your audience ready for your launch, to tease your offer, and to really pre-sell the value of your offer. I cannot emphasize this step enough. Like so many people, this is a crucial step. How are people gonna know that you have a launch coming up, right? So during the sales launch start to finish session in chapter 13, we talk about pre-marketing and launch lead up. And then also inside Build Without Burnout, the entire month 4 is just about pre-selling, like launching a pre-sale, doing customer happiness and kind of getting ready for that. So if you're launching for the first time, definitely head to Build Without Burnout. But this is essentially what we're going to tell you in those resources, which is kind of 6 to 8 weeks out is when you're gonna start kind of like just the tiniest little hints of a whisper of this is coming, right? 3 to 4 weeks out, you're gonna really start to hit home like valuable content. We call this your iceberg that kind of leads into whatever your offer is gonna be. 1 week out is when you really need to like be hitting like dates and specific details and get ready for this and like this is coming. And then of course by that time your audience is warmed up enough and they've seen it enough times that they are ready to buy. Number 5, how and when will someone buy? So you're going to decide on a launch window versus like an evergreen strategy. You all know we tend to talk more about launch windows because that's how we work. But then you're going to create a sales page that clearly communicates the value of your offer, projects trust, shows a preview of your offer, and makes it easy for someone to buy. And we go over how to do that in the sales launch start to finish session, chapter 12. We go over our pop-up sales page method, which is what's going to allow you to get all of these items that was mentioned in the text there. And then also in the page layout library, if you're like, I just don't even know where to start, we have 3 different sales page layouts and copy prompts that you can literally just steal and start with something.
Please steal them.
Please steal them.
Yeah.
And start there because they were made for you. So do that.
Yep.
So just as a recap, our pop-up sales page method, just make sure that you have these 6 items like somehow represented, which would be your audience's problem that your offer solves, the outcome, the ultimate transformation that you're hoping to get for them, then kind of allude to your product as the solution to their problem, and make sure that you introduce it clearly. What's the name of it? You know, what exactly is it? What's a 2-word tango for it? Then you're going to provide social proof and kind of examples to build trust so that people believe that you are going to help them get to that outcome. And with examples, you're going to give them a peek inside the box, so to speak, of what can they expect. Is it, what are the quality of the video, you know, screenshots, mock-ups, things like that, to really hit that visual point home of what someone can expect on the other side of what they're going to pay for. And then finally purchase, and making that really easy and obvious. And all of these things, the pop-up method is included in the page layout library, 3 different sales pages. And then we have, like I said, in Notion, we have the kind of broken out even more specific of, you don't just have to hit these 6 things, like here are the actual sections to include on the page.
Lou, good question. I'll answer it now because I think it's worth it. You absolutely should have people go through your product ahead of time so you can have some type of social proof to share.
Yeah, if you don't have results, at least someone can vouch for the quality of the material. At least someone can vouch for your reputation as a person online, like something to make sure that someone on the other end doesn't feel confused about whether they're gonna get scammed, frankly.
Yeah. Hey, could you do me a favor? Would you just scooch this way just a little bit?
Yeah, was I trying to get away from you?
Yeah, you were kind of like falling out of frame. See you, good night.
Good night. And then finally, number 6, what happens after someone buys during your launch? So you're gonna set up a welcome email automation that delivers instructions on how to get their goods with some additional surprise and delight, as well as a post-purchase buyer survey. We'll talk about that later. And we talk about this inside of Build Without Burnout. Lesson 23.1 is on customer onboarding, as well as the surveys coaching session, which underrated coaching session, I have to say, even by myself.
Nice.
Chapter 12 is all about the after purchase survey. So if you're curious about what do you want the experience to be immediately for someone once they join after your launch, this is a crucial moment because that's when someone feels like, again, going back to our marketing bridge terminology, they feel reassured that they've made a good decision and they're excited to dive into whatever your product is. Mm-hmm. And we have this inside of our drip. We have a workflow. We change up, we kind of build on it or we change it whenever we make a significant change to WAIM. And we tell people, all of you got it.
And yeah, there's more about this in the survey session, so we go into detail.
Exactly. So as a recap, when it comes to selling and launching your offer, this is the basics review. You have your offer, your value proposition, your pricing, your pre-marketing and sales emails, your sales page, and your fulfillment and onboarding. And those are the pieces of the launch puzzle.
Oopsie doopsie. We thought it might be helpful to dig into the biggest missteps we see with selling and launching, and most of these are mistakes that we've made that we're sharing with you because we've already made them. We want to have you avoid stuffing your offer with too many features.
Also, feel free to just save space. If any of you feel like, again, it's me, and yes, Jason did know that he was loosely having a Taylor Swift reference. I'm trying to kind of
Tay-Tay. I know what's up.
Okay, Tay-Tay, okay.
Swift and I always hang out.
Okay, please stop.
I'm one of the Swifties.
Okay. Oh, you're not. You're absolutely not. Anyway, but feel free to, if any of these you feel like being vulnerable and want to say this is me, I struggle with this, feel free to share in the chat.
Do any of the ones who are more organizationally focused call themselves Swifters?
Because Swiffers?
That's what I meant. Swiffers? Yeah.
Okay, well, once you call them Swiffers, you kind of lose the pun. You know that, right?
Yeah. So Swifters.
Swifters.
Yeah, that's us. We're
Yeah,
Swifters.
no,
What's up?
There's
I'm a
actually
Swifter.
a huge group of people that call themselves Swifters.
Oh, I'm a wet Swifter. I couldn't even say it, Shay. You threw it out there, and yeah, I'm a wet jet Swifter.
You both are in timeout.
Okay. All right. So stuffing your offer with too many features. Instead of doing that, pick one core feature that directly ties to a valuable benefit and position the other features as supported bonuses. So for us, unboring business coaching became the #1 thing for WAIM Unlimited. You all know this. WAIM Unlimited has 1,000 things in it. But when you go to our sales page, there are very specific words and sections and things that focus just on the coaching, because that is #1.
And before it was coaching, when it was just WAIM Unlimited and we didn't have coaching yet, it was like, it's a community, it's courses, it's this.
And they all had the same kind of visual hierarchy.
Exactly.
And so now, and copywriting hierarchy. Now when you go to our sales page, when you read our emails, it's onboarding coaching, and then everything else is supplemental.
Yep.
We just have like a couple of these results that come of this, the outcomes that you can have when you're taking part in our coaching.
Yeah, and the point that I wanted to highlight here is when you do that and you kind of pluck out what is the feature of my offer that has the highest value proposition, it becomes a lot easier to write things like what's the result that that's going to get for someone. And then it all becomes a little bit easier to write copy instead of just writing kind of vagary, which I know, we appeal to a broad audience, so sometimes we struggle with this as well. But instead of being like, I'm going to help you thrive in your business, like that's hard. So when it comes to a sales page, it's like, okay, no, you're going to get clarity, you're going to know what to focus on, you're going to get motivation every month, those types of things.
I think we're bebopping back and forth on these, I decided.
Let's
so go ahead.
So the next mistake you want to avoid is focusing only on the features, not the benefits. So speaking of features, features are great to mention, but instead of just talking about all the features your offer has, tie the features of your offer to the deeper impact that they will have on your customer's life and future outcomes. So we touched on this in the value proposition, but you'll see here, this is on our homepage, how Wandering Aimfully's Unboring Business Coaching supports your transition to a digital products business, and every single one of our features is tied to a benefit. And so again, just to spot the difference, the feature is sort of like how you're delivering the benefit, but the benefit is the intangible, more emotional impact that thing can get for your customer's life.
Yeah, it's also the thing someone understands, right? So like someone comes to our homepage and they
don't
go,
know what WAIM of Stones is.
Exactly. They go, oh, unboring business coaching. Okay. Oh, it's going to be fun. Oh, that's great. What the heck's a WAIM of Stones? I don't, they just have no clue whatsoever. So those features being tied to benefits, it's really important to do this, and it's something we have had to evolve over and over, because again, as you're in your creation cave and as you're building things, you get so stuck on the features because it's what you're spending all your time on, but you have to remember the benefits of those features.
Totally.
All right, we want you to avoid adding complexity by bundling with another product because you're afraid your offer is not enough. I believe Natalie just said this in the chat. It's when you get to a sales page and it has 200 unrelated things that aren't even around that offer. And instead, we want you to start simple and have confidence in your core offer. You can add upsells or bundles over time as you confirm your core offer is in demand, but you don't want to confuse your customer out of the gate or dilute your messaging by selling the benefits of multiple things. If you do want to add another offer, position it as a limited time bonus or a bonus feature of its own buying tier.
Believe me, I get the instinct, especially if you're new to selling, especially if you're new to launching. You have all this doubt and this fear, and you kind of want to be like, is someone gonna believe that my thing is good enough to buy? And so you just go, I'll throw in this too, and I'll say this too, and it becomes very convoluted very fast. So my advice would be to spend more time, if you still feel so nervous that your thing is not enough, so to speak, keep going back to that KISSes framework. Keep asking yourself how you can make the offer itself more valuable instead of kind of diluting your marketing messaging with multiple offers that have multiple benefits.
Yeah, and I think it's very clear. I mean, for all of you here, I would hope the answer is the reason you have continued to pay us every month is for this, is for the coaching. It's all this. Everything else you get in WAIM is nice to have, but I think it's the coaching every single month that gives you clarity and focus and something to do every single month. That is the thing. And so for us, we had to get very confident with that's enough. Like, we do have all this other stuff, but that is enough for people. And we saw that through time and experimentation and figuring it out. All right, you're up.
Avoid creating in a cave and launching without any pre-marketing. We already went over this a bit.
I did throw a trophy on this because I think this is the #1 thing to avoid when it comes to selling and launching.
I think so too.
Is staying in your creation cave and not doing pre-marketing, and we definitely did talk about this a bunch in the chat.
Yep, so instead, you want to let your audience in on the building of your offer leading up to your launch. Document your process as pre-marketing. Get your audience invested in the journey. Pique their interest. Start with teases and casual references, and then get more and more specific the closer you get to launch. And if this is something that you know you struggle with, please, I'm begging you to just challenge yourself with your next launch. If there's one tweak that you make it this one, and I would be very curious to know if your numbers change.
Yeah.
And then just to show you how we're doing this right now, if you're, I mean, most of you, all of you are on the newsletter, but this is a part of our strategy right now is we're leading up into the fall launch. We're actually kind of like doubling it because we're doing pre-marketing, but we're also documenting the pre-marketing.
It's a
we're
lot.
pre-marketing for our pre-marketing.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out how that goes.
Yeah.
But
very simply for you all listening to
Yes.
this, like if you've never done good pre-marketing before, just put on your calendar for 6 weeks before your next launch of your thing. In every helpful email that you send out, have a section at the bottom that says, hey, heads up, if you want to have whatever your outcome is for your customer, if you want more of that, on this date, I'm opening up my program. I want you to get ready, just letting you know it's coming. Every email just includes something like that so that people are seeing it, they're seeing the potential outcomes, they're like, oh, what is this? What's going on? That's really helpful.
I love that. Cave woman here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we want you to avoid sending just 1 or 2 sales emails. Let's go to the honesty corner of the Unboring Coaching.
It's tough.
Please, in the chat, say it's me if you've only sent 1 or 2 sales emails during a launch because you were maybe
Just nervous. You didn't want to annoy people.
Scared, embarrassed. You were like, I don't know if my offer is good enough. We've been there.
Maybe I said the last thing was like, please, if you do one thing, do that. But
This
now
is
I'm
the
like,
second.
maybe, okay,
1A,
this is
1B.
number 2. 1A, 1B. 1A,
Yeah.
1B.
Instead, we want you to plan ahead to send near daily emails throughout your launch. Again, if you go through our sales and launching coaching session, we give you our entire roster
And
of
if
emails.
you're like, near daily,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I
Yeah.
absolutely can't do that. I'm just asking you to maybe, if you can't meet us at near daily, find somewhere in the
Every
middle.
other
Or
day.
every
Yeah.
other, you know.
Yeah,
But, and listen, I get it.
The gist of this big paragraph is
Yes.
we know you don't want to annoy your
Yes.
subscribers. We know you feel like people aren't going to want all these emails hitting their inbox, but we don't want you to talk yourself out of a successful launch because you think people don't want to get your sales emails. Anybody who's in your audience that gets mad and might write back, like, you're sending too many emails, they were never going to be a good customer. It's okay if they unsubscribe.
It's okay. I signed up for like a freebie. This is like 3 weeks ago. And when I tell you this person has sent me probably a daily email for their program that I'm not going to purchase, but I was just curious. This is a skill that I'm hoping to get better at. And so I did the freebie and I learned a couple of things. Yes, there has been a moment where I'm like, every day though, but I've never in my mind been like, that's a bad person. I've never in my mind been like, how annoying. I just keep, if anything, I go, why haven't I unsubscribed to that yet?
Yeah.
I point that out to say, like, I don't think that person is a bad person.
No, and
even though all of us feel like if we annoy someone, we're gonna be a bad person.
It's also about what you can stomach and like what you believe is right.
Yeah.
So it's like if sending a daily email just makes you go, nope, then that's
Exactly,
okay.
that's
But just
okay.
please don't do a launch and send 1 email at the beginning and 1 email at the end. You have to have more touch points throughout your launch.
Yeah, that's
Let's
it.
keep going forward.
Let's do it. You want to avoid selling, okay, so this is like kind of the other side, is you want to avoid selling all the time without delivering value. This is another thing that I've seen people do. So instead, you want to build in intentional breaks between sales periods when you're just giving. And listen, I get it. If you're trying to drum up money and like you need to pay your bills, like by all means, this doesn't apply to you. But I have seen people who go the opposite direction, who goes like, okay, I'm going to do a launch, and then I'm going to maybe, do a newsletter for a week, and then I'm going to promote this like groups thing that I'm a part of, and then I'm going to wait a week, and then I'm going to do this other affiliate launch that I'm doing.
And I have a thing.
And so that is definitely a strategy. But in our experience, you end up cashing in sort of all of the trust that you've built up so quickly that people leave because they go, well, I don't know you well enough to know if I should buy one of these things. I haven't gotten enough value yet. So the flip side of the last one is make sure that you're delivering value and building trust. That's what those, nurturing tactics and email newsletters are for.
Yeah. We want you to avoid completely redoing your sales page after a successful launch.
This used to be me.
I'm sorry, is there a redhead in the crowd who's raising their hand?
It used to be me.
Yeah. Instead of doing that, when you find a layout and copy that works, keep it.
I came to a very important realization when I was doing this slide.
Fantastic.
Because I remember specifically when we had the first year that we had better launches than we were expecting, and like we really felt like we had figured out coaching and we were so excited, and it came around to the next year and I was like, okay, ready to redo the sales page. And you were like, what are you doing? We just got the messaging working. Like we just figured out
best launch yet,
how to be clear, like whatever. And I realized that I was in like so used to playing in experimentation mode that I didn't know how to behave once one of my like hypotheses worked.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was ready to experiment again. And the thing is like, no. When you run an experiment and it works, keep doing that.
That's exactly it.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, one of the things that I realized in that moment when we were like, we'd been on our like 6th or 7th sales page that we had designed, is that this one worked. And so I was like, okay, well, now this is a new experiment to go, can we use this one again? Because it worked, so let's go ahead and use this one again. And there was an interesting conversation that was happening in Slack. Someone brought up, our long form sales pages, just like a thing of the past. Like, I'm not seeing too many of these anymore. Like, some of the business people I follow, they're doing shorter and whatever. And my personal opinion on this is what I wrote in the comment was, if you don't do a ton of outward marketing, then you need a longer sales page because someone probably hasn't heard enough from you to convince them of the value of the thing that you sell. So you need more examples, you need more like what we do on our sales page because we just don't do a lot of outward marketing. Now, if you do a ton of marketing, especially paid ads, people are gonna see your face, they're gonna see your messaging, you're always on Instagram, you're on TikTok, you're just everywhere, then you can probably get away with a shorter sales page because someone has now seen your stuff multiple times over. But I think the idea of like, a sales page is too long or a sales page needs to be shorter, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer here. I think the thing that you need to do is for your audience, design the best sales page you can, put people on it during a launch, and then review what happened and how it felt. Then iterate forward. Do you need to change it? Do you need to get better at your offer? Do you need to position things better? Do you need more outcomes? Do you need more social proof? Whatever, then change it. But there's no golden rule here, and I think we're all looking for like, but just tell me the simple answer. The simple answer is try something, see how it goes, and then iterate moving forward.
And then if it works, keep doing
it
until
it doesn't
work
anymore. Don't redesign it
anymore.
over and over again.
Good idea. Okay, those were all the don't do this. Now let's share the key lessons that have helped us improve our launches over time. So
Would you say this is the do-do section?
This is the do-do. So do. Start by being picky about what your offer is. I know we already said this, but kind of reiterating it. So remember, even a perfectly executed launch will fall flat without a compelling offer. So I really do think that your launch kind of lives and dies by your offer. And so like you have to make sure that you feel really good about that before your launch. So carve out real time to consider how valuable this offer is. How can you make it better? How can you save your customer more time, more sacrifice, more effort? How can you get them to their outcome even sooner? I think we have a list in the action steps of ways to improve your offer. Go ahead.
Even just these questions on the screen right here are like
gold.
These are questions you should absolutely be answering in gigantic font on your sales page, in your sales emails, in your social posts where you're selling. Like, these are the things that you need to answer for your customer because they're what they're thinking.
Yep.
Okay. My do-do.
Your do-do.
Survey your buyers after they purchase. We've talked about this multiple times. Remember, embed a survey on the purchase confirmation page so a buyer can immediately tell you what led them to buy. So someone buys, they get a success page afterwards, says like, thanks, like go check your email to get the thing or whatever. On that thank you page, this helps improve your messaging for the next launch by asking a bunch of questions. What we learned was we were sending an email after that had the survey in it, and only 50% or so of people were actually filling that out. When we embedded the survey on the thank you page, which you all have seen, 90% of you fill that out. So it's a drastic difference. It gives us so much more data. We learn so much more about our audience who buys from us. So please make sure that you're putting a survey right after on the purchase page or whatever it is that someone's buying. And even if it's not necessarily easy enough to embed it, like if you're selling a course in Teacher and using our payment pages, there is no thank you page, but you can always embed the survey in the first lesson of your course. Or you can add it as a line in the overview like, hey, please fill out my survey on why you joined.
Yeah, and even those of you, even if you did a launch and you got 4 sales, if 3 people filled out that survey, you would have some idea for the next time that you go to launch that thing. Okay, so I got a couple, you know what I mean? Like I got some sales, so what was it about that? Why was that a good fit for those 3 people? Where were they in their journey? Okay, now let me like look at my sales page and try to communicate better to that person. So that data is really invaluable. Another do-do. Include a clear and compelling reason to buy now. So this one's kind of interesting that we haven't talked about a ton. Yes, like this is exactly why scarcity and urgency works, but those things aren't the only ways to give your customer a reason to buy, though they are 2 options. So when you think about scarcity, meaning there's only, X amount of seats of this, or urgency, an open and closed launch is a sense of urgency because it gives you a time frame. But if you're like, oh, that's too icky, I don't want to do that, that's okay. You decide what sales tactics you want to use. But there are other ways to craft basically a story around why would someone not only choose to buy this, but choose to buy this now, right? Because you're doing a launch, that's what you're doing. So is there, in your messaging, can you include something about why at this time of year, for example? Like I've seen people craft narratives around like, okay, if you're a design business, maybe things slow down in the summer season, and so you have more time to work on the operations of your business. If I was doing a launch in the summer of a program about operations, I would tell them that I would include that in my brand story because that is a compelling reason of why to buy my program now, So think about this timing element of your launch and what in your messaging are you going to include that is going to speak to someone about why right now is the time for them to buy.
And also just remember, like, people need scarcity and urgency. So you don't have to be gross and sleazy about it, but like it is a thing that motivates people to buy. And if you just like say you can buy this whenever, I think a lot of us here have probably tried to sell things evergreen, and without any type of scarcity or urgency, even in evergreen, it's very difficult to sell without something to kind of nudge someone to that finish line. Do plan ahead so you're not burned out during a launch. How many of us have been just completely wiped during, right before, at the very end?
Forever to learn this.
Yeah. Give yourself several weeks to prepare your launch. Again, the sales and launching coaching session gives you a full plan of action for this. Block off your calendar during your launch so you can reply to emails and DMs and welcome new customers. Those days are the final 10 yards and your chance to make all those weeks of previous work worth it. So you definitely don't want to get in a position where you've been creating this thing, you've written your sales emails, you're ready, you're going, but now you have all these other things on your calendar during your launch that take you away from answering messages.
Or if you're just completely wiped and you're like, I can't open my email.
You've got to be able to think ahead and carve out time on your calendar to make room for this, because you only launch so many times, so you definitely want to make sure you have extra bandwidth available and you're not burned out. Now, we will say, even planning ahead, by the end of a launch, it is so normal that you're just like, I am tired.
Yeah.
So maybe plan a day or two where you're just completely off. You could just completely not look at your work stuff so that you can kind of recharge those batteries and recoup.
Definitely.
Which is why we also usually after every launch try and do some type of like little mini staycation, or even just like we just take 2 to 3 days off and I'm just playing Tears of the Kingdom for hours.
Spiral, baby. Do anchor your price to the value of your offers. This kind of goes back to the pricing value proposition conversation. But don't just throw a price tag on your offer without some explanation of why the value is going to be worth it, right? So whether you can place a price on the outcome your offer gets someone, or whether your offer will save someone time and you can kind of like, loosely connect that saved time to how much that would be worth to someone, or effort, how much would that be worth to someone. But be sure to think about adding some copy that connects the price to the value. This obviously applies more to a higher priced thing. That is, if you really believe in the value, try to make that more explicit. Again, the goal is to make sure that in your customer's mind, the value far outweighs the price, and that is what ultimately leads to their buying decision.
These are some guiding principles or phrases, that word is phrases, not principles, to help you on your journey putting this into action.
Your brain just
Principles
decided
works.
it was principles?
I would say principles works, though.
In your defense, guiding principles is like a phrase.
It's true, but you know what wouldn't be helpful here?
What's that?
Guiding principles of like a school.
Oh, school.
Yeah, like
no, but when you think about it,
that could be helpful too.
Guides,
All right,
principles.
we've got guiding principles
Wow.
and guiding principles.
All right.
First one we want to share is your net worth is not your self-worth.
You've heard us say this before. It bears repeating.
Please uncouple your identity from how much money your launches do or don't make. Selling takes practice and experimentation, and you will start to feel more confident with every launch, but only if you don't take it personally when someone chooses not to buy your offer. This is
easier said than done.
a very difficult lesson to learn, but as two people who have sold so many things and done so many launches, we can tell you it does get so much easier with time, and it was difficult in the beginning, but you just have to keep going.
Remember when I stayed up all night, pulled an all-nighter as an adult to relaunch my Better Branding course ebook?
Yeah.
I'm not even really sure the strategy behind that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I stayed up all night, I redesigned it, I wanted it to be perfect, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I launch it, I send out the email, and not one person buys the new and improved version.
Did you do any pre-marketing for that?
I have to believe that I was a cave woman at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
I was in my creation. I was a creation cave woman.
Yeah.
Learned a lesson.
Yeah.
But I remember being so disappointed.
Yeah.
And then I remember being like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember being like, oh, I can learn from that and probably
Yeah.
won't do that again. But then I just kept. If I wouldn't have kept going, I wouldn't have been here. Is all I'm trying to say. So
Very
you got to
good.
just keep
Yeah.
going.
All right, you're
it's
up
okay.
next.
Normalize launches that flop. You know what I mean?
Floppy launches.
Floppy launches.
As a wet Swiffer.
Who among us has not had a floppy launch?
As a wet Swifter, I know what's up.
You got me.
Yeah.
Key number 2. Okay, on this point,
Yeah.
a failed launch is nothing more than an experiment that didn't prove your hypothesis. You got to put your experimenter's hat on. You got to put your science coat. What is that called? Lab coat.
Yeah. As a guiding principle, I can tell you that.
You got to put your lab coat on. And remember, it's all an experiment, right? So there are a million variables to launching. This is what I really want to hit home. A million variables to launching. We only talked about 6 of them, and there's like 60 inside of all of those 6 things that we mentioned in the first section. And that's why there's so much info on launching inside WAM Unlimited. But on top of that, every business, every offer, every audience, every entrepreneur is different. So the only way to find out what will work for you is by trying things. And again, anybody who sells you like, this is my foolproof formula for launching, blah, blah, blah.
You should punch them.
Listen, only if they're like a very narrow thing of like, we're all launching this one thing, fine, maybe you can listen to him then. But it really is about trying things and experimenting, and every launch is a chance to learn something new, so don't get too discouraged if you have a launch that flops, because floppy launches.
Because floppy launches. Key number 3, if you believe in your offer, selling is actually giving, not taking.
This is a selling mindset thing.
Yeah, so selling might seem tricky, especially if you have old money thoughts. Our top advice here, make your offer awesome and useful. When you truly believe in the change you bring, selling isn't taking, it's giving, as you're confident in the value you provide.
Yeah, this was a hard one for me.
Yeah, I remember when I launched my How to Get Sponsorships for Anything course, I felt like that course was bulletproof at the time. This is like 2014. I was just like, if anybody goes through this course and just does a 10% of what I say in this course, you will get a paying sponsor. I just fully believed it because it worked for me 2,000 times and I'm no one special. And I remember selling that course and just thinking like, this thing, it's $500, but I know anyone who takes this course can get a $500 sponsorship. And I just saw it over and over again. People would buy the course, they would get to like lesson 3. They would send a couple cold outreach emails, they would get a sponsor, be like, you were right. I was like, I know, because I did this over and over again. And that's the thing you want to have for whatever your offer is that you feel like if someone just does this thing, if they just go through this thing, if they just learn what I'm teaching, they will get this outcome. Now, if your offer doesn't do that, then you need to work on it.
Yeah.
You need to add things to it. You need to get more skills. You need to do more experiments yourself so that your offer can do that for someone.
Fantastic. Yeah, and for me, it was a mindset shift of the whole like selling is taking thing. And I had to remind myself, and this goes to the next key, but you know, I think a lot of times we encounter selling that feels like manipulation, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
Like selling, once I learned that selling can also be an invitation. Like I'm not making anyone make that decision. I'm certainly not.
I mean, I'm trying to grab people's credit cards on the street, you know? I'm just out here like, whoa, give me your money.
And also, I believe wholeheartedly in the things that I make, and so that's where I put my attention, and it really helped me with being more confident in selling. And then I'll click over because this is related to the next one,
Let's
which
do it.
was, if you've had icky encounters with salespeople, that doesn't make you icky just by selling. I think this is kind of like a thing we get mixed up in our heads, but just because someone else chooses to be manipulative or be aggressive in the way that they sell, that doesn't mean that your customers are gonna feel that way about you just because you're selling something. So try to separate the feelings that you've had from someone else being a sleazy salesperson to you and embrace selling in a way that feels authentic to you, which is gonna be different tactics for everyone. Everyone has a different line or a different way that they like to do things.
Absolutely. All right, our fifth key is going to be from our co-brandments. We have all these little fun
Which one
phrases
is it?
and things. I actually think it's 2 this week.
It is 2 this
I
week.
nailed it. Keep experimenting and you define your own success. You get to set your financial goals. You don't have to have a 6-fig launch. You can have a launch that does whatever works for your life and your business. You get to decide what successful looks like. So define that, have a low goal, have a high goal. We talk about that in the sales and launching coaching session and pretty much all the other ones. You get to play by your own rules, so don't let comparison get you discouraged.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
And Nicole, you're right. I would love a cinnamon roll.
Yep.
If you want to work on your selling mindset, check out these resources, especially for the guiding principles that are needed out there. How to Embrace Selling and Money Mindsets coaching session, and then our workshop. It's a little bit older, but still some good information, Selling Without Feeling Sleazy. You can find those in the Wayne Library. Okay, part 3, some steps. How can you use this info to improve your business? Let's recap the steps for each playbook. What do you need to do to apply this to your business? You can build, which is if you're planning to launch an offer for the very first time, or you can optimize if you've launched an offer in the past, but you didn't get the sales you hoped for and are looking for improvement. So if you're in one of these 2 camps, we have separate steps for you. So your action steps, if you're in the build phase, your first launch, you want to determine your offer, define your value proposition, set your pricing and packages, pick your launch window dates, and create a pre-launch content plan. You could even run a pre-sale. Write your sales emails and launch content plan, design and build your sales page, determine how your offer is fulfilled, and outline a post-launch onboarding plan. So if you've never launched anything before, this is your very short checklist for what you need to do. You're up. That's your face.
All right. Improving your launches. If you are in the optimized checklist section, so you've already done launches, but you want to make them better in the future. Number 1, make your offer even more compelling. So think kisses. We outlined that in the section of how to make a chef's kiss offer. Number 2, make your value proposition even clearer. Go back to that value proposition statement. Keep refining it. Keep trying to make it more compelling. How does it improve your customer's life? Add case studies and testimonials to show results of your value proposition to kind of support your value proposition. Emphasize a core feature and a core benefit instead of trying to like jumble them all together. And even mitigate risk for your customer with guarantees or bonuses. That's kind of, advanced stuff there, and you want to be careful about guarantees, but it is a way to, if you really believe in your offer, in your customer's mind, make yourself so confident that you can get them this result that you can offer those things. And then survey your past buyers to see what their reason for buying was and apply that to your next launch. Number 3, evaluate your packages and pricing. So use data from your last launch to inform any pricing changes. Were there tiers that did really well? Were there ones that people completely ignored? Use past data to inform future changes. Do you need to simplify? Or will offering a new tier address a different segment of buyers? So you have to make a decision about if you want to change up your packages and your pricing. Step number 4, increase frequency of your pre-marketing and change up your least effective sales emails. We're always doing this. Can you start teasing your launch even earlier by creating more build in public content, kind of take people on the journey, test that out? Can you make your lead up content more relevant to your launch offer? This is something else, is if you've done pre-marketing before, but it was sort of loosely tied to whatever your offer is, anytime that you can create pre-marketing content that is sort of solving a problem before, as closely tied to the problem that your paid offer solves, that is going to be the most effective pre-marketing content, because you're going to get the most qualified people interested in that. And also look at your clicks from previous sales emails. Open rates might be more difficult to get accurate data, but if you look at people clicking through which sales emails to your sales page, which ones did really well, what was the message of those sales emails, and then what are the ones that maybe didn't do as well, can you switch a couple of those out and try to test some new messaging? Number 5, get feedback on your sales page to see if your storytelling is clear. You can send a survey to maybe people who engaged, like clicked through to your sales page but didn't buy, and see if you can understand what was unclear for them, or were they just not a right fit for your offer, and that's okay. Number 6, improve your onboarding to get your customers to value quicker. So again, the more quickly that a person can start to really get value from what they purchase, the more likely they're going to be to have word of mouth, and that's going to improve your launch the next time it comes around. So those are a whole bunch of things. If you're someone who's like, I want to test some of these for my next launch, look at that the step section of your workbook and be like, I'm going to try 3 of these things for my next launch and see how it works.
Great. Part 4, Notion execution.
Okay, for any of my Notion nerds, we have just a couple things to show you. So
Holla at your keyboard if you're a Notion nerd.
I just wanted to remind everyone that if you haven't looked at the client off-ramp OS yet, what's happening?
Wow, that was weird.
If you haven't, I'm imagining it's a cat. If you have not looked at the client off-ramp OS yet, inside of it we have a page called the Mini Product Launch Kit, and this has a lot of really great planning sections. It's supposed to be for a mini product if you have never launched before, but you can also use it if you have. So it's great if you're launching for the first time and still nailing down your offer. You have little widgets for your sales launch window to pick your launch window. You can set goals. You can write out all of your launch tasks. There's a section just like the workbook for your offer details. There is a content calendar for you to write all of your launch emails, a whole launch promotion schedule, outlining out your sales page. I mean, really everything that you could want to kind of nail down the details of your launch is in this page. So I just wanted to remind you that that is there. And you also have a database of tracking sales. And then it'll automatically roll up into your cash flow there as well.
Chris asked what OSI stands for?
I don't know.
Where was
Yeah,
it?
it's just
Oh,
OS. I think it was
yeah.
an exclamation point.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
for operating system.
Exciting.
If you're planning on launching more regularly, we highly recommend creating a launch project template. I finally did this after I have made so many pages and projects for launches. I finally was like, well, we do this twice a year. I should just make a template. So you can see here inside we have a projects database, and basically this is me editing a Notion template inside there. And so all I do is include all the sections that we have every single launch. And any of the gray areas are things that I usually need to set up when I create a new project page with the launch, but everything's in here already, so I don't have to do very much to kind of get it started.
What secret info's in here? Carrots? Are
Oh,
we giving away carrots?
You
No,
want
it's
me
fine.
to- so that was like all the planning docs and everything like that. Any like links to the affiliate hubs, anything like that is right at the top. And then the sales dashboard, we have a whole sales dashboard here. So this is a place to log sales by day. So this actually really helps us to compare launch over launch. And then it's also for giving you great field notes recaps. But you can see here actually literally every day we track how many sales, and then I just keep adding columns for every launch that we do. And so we can see when did we switch up sales emails. Oh, we had like way more people buy the first day of this launch. What did we do? So it's just data to learn so you can get better and better.
Boy, this fall launch is going to be fun for the field notes.
Yeah.
Because we have so much content leading up to
So
it.
much content.
And then the price is going to be the
I
big,
know,
big
there's a lot.
change.
So, and then we have a whole marketing section. So this is all planning our launch emails. This is where Jason and I sit down and we go through like our typical 14-day launch sequence, and we go, which emails did really well last time that we'll keep, which ones, literally taking our own advice, which ones didn't do as well, and we can rewrite those. So we do a mix. We do about half and half of, some of them are, that's not true. We probably change 70% of them.
Yeah.
Just to keep them fresh, but that's a personal choice.
Yeah.
But again, very helpful to keep in a project template because I don't have to do this every time. And then we also have an ongoing list of launch tasks in this little page. So it's just like a bulleted list of tasks by category of like, okay, here's all the planning tasks. Here's all of the pre-marketing
Homepage
tasks. Here's all the sales page tasks.
Yeah.
Here's all the affiliate tasks. We have it listed out there. And then because there's like variations between launches, like sometimes we're like, we're doing more of an affiliate push. So then I have to add tasks or less. And so I like just keeping it all in one page. And then what I do is I copy the ones that we're going to be using and I pull them over to my task list. I denote that they're for this launch project, and then I have all my launch tasks right there. I don't even have to go through the whole POOT process every single launch.
Yeah.
So, and then finally, we have a place to update all of our final stats. So like if you ask me how many people bought in, spring of 2020, I could go back to my Notion and tell you right now, which is fun.